Picking Pink Rangers, I noticed, is a lot more difficult than other colors. The thing is, they share the space with White Rangers. Several teams have had one character play multiple pinks, and a fair bit of seasons have had very bad characters in the pink position. But they stay interesting. Many of the pinks are good characters, some are music lovers, smart, few get stories that are weird, and they're the ones that get the love interest the most. Vita. Just like how Chip shined in the vampire episodes, Vita did too. At the beginning of Mystic Force, we knew she was the sister of Madison, she liked music, and is pretty tough on anyone that complains or insults people. So she kind of felt not important overall, but Chip and Vita have this good chemistry. The episodes give Vita her vulnerable side. I'm not saying that people always need to get vulnerable, but the show needs to give characters that have tough exteriors a small break. Let's go back to Jaden for a second. Why do people complain about him? He's very stiff, stuck up as a leader, and he'll say one thing but do another. Jaden does mess up. He's not perfect, but it's only because he needs to get better at something. That's all he does. The only time he finally got something was when we found out the Lauren secret. It didn't help at that point. We had 2 years worth of perfect Jaden. Vita's other good episode was when she was protecting Matumbo. You never think a ranger would want to protect one of the 10 terrors. Her best trait is reading people. She knew Matumbo, even though being part of the worst monster team out of the show, had some reasoning. He wasn't just blind obedience. He questioned, why are we doing this? What is the goal? This is basically the flaw of all villains. Their basic goal is to take over a target, kill people, or enslave people. So when you finally achieve this goal, then what? Your purpose of being bad is now done. Rose. I'll be honest, she got on my list because Rose is the only Overdrive Ranger that had a decent episode. While Dax can be interesting with his career info and jokes, he doesn't really fill the void of the season. Rose at least was the bully of the team. Her personality was very different. Rose had this stuck-up nature to her, where she's always trying to be perfect. She has to know everything about something, and she also has a bit of Mr. Fantastic from Fantastic Four. When Pirate in Pink came around, she didn't believe in paranormal stuff, even though she's dealt with various weird aliens and magical ninja powers that Miratrix does, another case of Nigitis. So she was forced to work with a ghost, challenging her in 2 ways. The first was her science background. Ghosts are just not explainable in any normal sense. Then she has to deal with something that she doesn't know. Since Rose is hard-headed, she doesn't want to learn why Brownbeard does what he does and tries to treat him as not existing. Once she realized all he was doing was trying to help her and get the jewel back, she finally opened up. As the season progressed, she accepted more weirder things and didn't speak down to people. One aspect of her personality was beneficial. When the Sentinel Knight was turned into the Sentinel Sword, she would treat him as an equipment. Some people would say that's cold and not caring, but in that form, he is equipment. At the same time, it allows her to actually fix him. If she thought of him as a person, she'd have a harder time trying to get him repaired. It's like how doctors work. They're people, but at the same time, don't want to become your friend. They have to keep an emotional disconnect from you so that they don't compromise their way of helping you. Rose is a catch-22 character. Sid. Sid so far is the only rich character that didn't suck right out at the start. She does a lot of the things that people in her class would find wrong or improper. She cares about people and doesn't care about getting herself dirty, like the way she eventually backed up Rick, or she wouldn't have joined SPD in the first place. I didn't forget about Stakeout. Sid wasn't flaunting her money at Jack. She wasn't even thinking about where he came from. Yes, she was spoiled in various areas. She felt she was too good or too precious to be used on the Stakeout because she was going to miss her birthday. That's why she's on B Squad. If she didn't have any faults, she'd be on A Squad. Then she learns her mistakes on her own. Kruger may start the lesson, but she finishes it. Sid is like Play-Doh. She has good personalities mushed into one. You just gotta take out that little bit of blue. Dana. Dana was a part of the whole Ryan story. She was in a hostage situation. Another time she questioned her father. I'd say all her starring episodes were great, even the modeling episode. With Power Rangers, she was one of the lucky ones. At first, Dana felt like one of your average Rangers. They're there, but don't do much. This went out the door really quick. What I worried the most was that Dana was gonna just listen to Captain Mitchell. He's my dad, I can't question him. Basically a double boss. Nope, the first thing she does is arguing about this babysitting mission while everyone else was protecting that fuel cell. She had no problem standing up to her father, calling him out if he's doing something stupid. She got mad when Dana found out about Ryan and how Mitchell didn't tell her the truth. She didn't go overboard like Mac did, constantly shoving it in Hartford's face. Yeah, she got mad that he did that, but I understood why he did it, just to spare her feelings. I agree on both sides. It was wrong that he hid Ryan for this long, especially when she joined Lightspeed. He should have told her, but on Mitchell's side, how do you explain this to anyone? My son wasn't actually killed, I had to sell his soul to Satan, and one day he's gonna come back? You sound crazy. Her best moment was in the hostage episode. Power Rangers isn't normally allowed to show real guns on the show. It's because people are afraid that kids will mimic them. Even though every action show has weapons everywhere and lasers are somehow safer, the problem is kids getting a hold of parents' weapons and them not teaching them to never touch a real gun and respect what a gun does, which is what this episode did. What better way to teach a kid by actually showing what he can do? I'm not saying let them watch movies like Predator, but you need to show the consequences of these things, and this episode of PR did it right. It focused on the psychological effect it does. Dana being a Power Ranger, a person who's the hero that stops bad things, is having a problem dealing with a person with a gun, something insignificant compared to their normal job. Dana handled the problem good, and you had kids see what guns can do. Kat does practically everything. She was evil, she became nice, she tried to become Tommy's love interest, jack of all trades type of character. You didn't know how people react to Kat being there. Do you trust her? Do you treat her as a friend? She used this to her advantage. She was able to trick Rita and Zed a few times. You'd think she learned with Tommy. Tommy, of course, would understand her the best. She was taken advantage of just like him, so they have this connection. Kat is basically like a cat. She's there, she's quiet, she helps you out, and when it's time to fight, she pounces. Shelby. I loved her hyperactiveness. She had a ridiculous dad, and she did screw up a lot. That's what gives Shelby her charm. I think Shelby tries too hard to please Kendall, which gets her in trouble with things, like how she goofed up when she didn't know how to use her charger. She was like, I'm gonna show Kendall what I can do. I like that. Not everyone is gonna be perfect as a Ranger. I like to see one time a team just crash their Megazord into the ground. Shelby is one of the lucky ones that got some closure with the love interest story. Her best part was her dad. He was just crazy, kind of like Jeb and Gemma. You couldn't really hate him. He just wanted the right things for his daughter. Her eagerness comes in handy throughout the seasons. The Energon tracker wouldn't have been invented. She got Kendall to change. She never trusted her because of how Shelby goofs up with basic things. Yet, Kendall somehow trusts Coda more. I never got that. So she doubted that Shelby could be a good Ranger. Shelby kept at it. Stumbled in a few areas, proving that anyone can do it. Kendricks. This is not a popular opinion, but Kendricks is my favorite Pink Ranger over Carone. I know why people like Carone over Kendricks. She didn't do much, and with Carone's backstory, who's gonna beat that? But Kendricks was different to most other Pinks. A lot of them were outspoken, strong-willed, and ready for action, which is fine. Kendricks did things more subtly. While everyone else is dealing with the Lost Galactibeast, she was trying to figure out the book. She knew it was important enough to do research on. In some ways, Kendricks was better with the Galactibeast than Maya was. She's like the Trini of the team, mixed with some Billy, not rushing in and being a real good backup. I had no problem with Carone coming into the show. For me, Carone is very similar to Drakina, so it felt like more of the same. And I also felt like people didn't give Kendricks a chance since she went missing for half the show and then magically undied at the end. That stupid move pissed people off. Kim. Kim was the only character that actually had a backstory early on in MMPR. Plus, it wasn't anything happy-go-lucky. She had to deal with her family being divorced. It was very awkward of her. She was even embarrassed to talk about it. Everyone else was virtually perfect. I like them for what they are, but I like to have more, which is what the Boom Studios comic does really well. Kim is not the best Pink Ranger, but she got the bulk of the cool Pink Ranger episodes and the best departure episodes. PR just stinks when characters have to leave, with the exception of Kendricks that couldn't be avoided. Trini, Zach, and Jason, we know what happened there, but it was still handled bad. Aisha didn't get any screen time thanks to being turned into a kid. Tanya just leaves after 1.5 seasons, doesn't interact with Ashley. Justin just leaves at the end of Turbo. He's all sad and stuff. What's really different? Hiding turbo powers and fighting on Earth versus going into space and looking for Zordon? They still fought on Earth most of the time. And we have Billy. Robbed of the Gold Ranger powers, didn't do much in Zeo, then they have to hire another actor to play old Billy, and that's it. Kim has dealt with all sorts of monsters and things. She was stuck in an airplane, she got turned into a punk, which I think is her best episode. She got body swapped to Billy, which was very funny. She also seems to deal with a lot of plant and lizard monsters, almost every Focus episode. She's fought the Bloom of Doom, which was messing up her judgment and was becoming obsessive. She had this huge range of different types of episodes, and yet she was still ditzy. I didn't mind that, because she did so many things. She time traveled and had to deal with giant rats. Kim had to pretend to be Rita once. When it was time for her to leave, we had a build-up early on. Kat comes in, becomes her rival, and eventually replaces her. It raised the bar for Kim and made you accept Kat into the team a lot easier. We know Kim was moving on. She had this one opportunity to pursue a career, and she took it. Unlike Rocky, who screws up in a karate match and goes, "Gosh darn, I can't be a ranger anymore." Great way to start the Turbo movie. Cassie. Cassie is just a big ball of energy. That's why I particularly liked her. She's always hanged around TJ. I always liked that duo teamwork, which is one of the few things Super Megaforce did right. Just like Kim, she has all sorts of episodes. One of my favorites was when she was forced into this dumb date and was willing to let everyone die just because she didn't want her identity to be known. Even Andros was like, "Oh my god, she's gonna morph." Sometimes I think the whole secret identity thing is done way too much. Of course, her main thing is her relationship with the Phantom Ranger. I personally didn't care about him as a lot of other people did. He's still important. I want to know who he was too. It's just needed to be more than a tease. While Cassie can be nice and caring, she can also get mad too. That time when she and Ashley were arguing over cleaning the megaship is probably the only time I have no problems with a filler episode being so close to a finale. Good character, have fun episodes, and just be friends with the Red Ranger. These differences to the standard Pink Ranger archetype at the time is why I like her a little bit higher than Kim. Jennifer. Now, who didn't see this coming? Jen is my number one, but not for the obvious reasons. Yes, her being the leader on Time Force was big. What cemented her with me was her entire arc. She was a cop and already had a team to lead. She already was dating Alex. Within the first episode, she had a complete backstory. Not many characters can say that. Then, the best or worst part in Jennifer's point of view, Alex was killed. This causes a domino effect with her. She now becomes disobedient to her superiors, she treats everyone harshly, and when she meets up with Wes, gives her all sorts of confusing emotions. This goes across several episodes, building up to the point of wanting to directly kill one of the monsters. A lot of this is virtually identical in Time Ranger, to the point of Jen wearing the same outfit Yuri wore. You know I'm against PR ripping off Sentai unless they really need it. This was fine because they took the key elements from Time Ranger and crafted Jen's backstory onto the footage. It worked perfectly. In some ways, Jen was the most important character in the whole season. Even after Jen finally told Wes about Alex, she didn't fully trust him. It's because she felt like she was betraying Alex. From her point of view, the moment she said yes, she was married to Alex. So her having any form of connection to someone else was a betrayal. It was worse that Wes looked like Alex. It took Alex lying to her for the whole year to open up with Wes. Speaking of this, why did Alex do that anyway? Why did he hide his death like that? What could Rancic do with that information? He doesn't want to go back to 3000, and people couldn't come to 2001. What was the benefit to covering this up? He played her emotions. That's all it did. Alex was the bad one. Jet did the right thing and let Alex go. That's why she's the best Pink Ranger. I can't think of any other character had such a backstory ingrained into the season that they had to deal with so much. I always saw Pink Rangers as the team's backup. If two things are going on, Pink can handle one alone. They can get kind of annoying because they usually get the love interest part of it, and with PR's track record in that area, it sucks. What are your thoughts on them? Fun, interesting, cool, or are they boring to you? And if you have suggestions on what future top 10 you'd like me to do, leave a comment below. Next up, Blue Rangers.